Hey there, everybody. Welcome back once again. Hambbage here, and I'm equally delighted to have you here if you're coming for the first time or if you've been here along for the ride since day one. Either way, make yourself comfortable, sit back, relax, and prepare to be thanked for watching the last episode. I didn't get that out of the way. I had the starting slide up, just not clear. Anyway, we're kicking things off, so let's get going. Welcome in, and understand that the Minecraft circle is a very powerful one, and being influential there is great. So that's a nice thing. Yeah, here we go. We're kicking off. We have been in the midst of a furious sand grab, and are going to keep pressing on a little bit. We just sorted our inventory a bit at the end of the last episode, I believe. We've got a nice fresh shovel here. One thing we are going to do for the time being, I think, is gather up those two. We'll leave our sandstone box. Wow, that takes a second to get going, huh? And we're gonna push to the edge here. We last at the end of the last episode, we um, had just gone down on the rim and cleaned up some of the sand that had dropped into this ravine we discovered. Now, for anybody who was watching that one or just caught the teaser there, maybe you've just found us through this video and haven't seen any of it. So we dropped. This was all just covered in red sand. It had a nice sand drop effect. There's still some sand to be had on this side and down at the very bottom, but for the moment at least, I don't think that's our high percentage gathering. There's a lot of effort involved and probably a lot of distractions. And considering that we just spent a bunch of episodes out in an abandoned mine shaft gathering up resources there, I think we need to kind of keep for the high percentage sand, and that's what we're working on right now. So we'll finish out this kind of plane. We've done the far side, as you can maybe see by the bare terracotta here. So we're just pushing in this last edge. Then we're going to go out and around that edge of the mesa to the kind of the boundary of the biome. If I recall correctly from a ages ago boat and walking trip, um, we had some more of these kind of sand-dominated plains areas that we can clean off a bit. So that's what we'll try to do. And while we grab the bed and a couple boxes, eventually we'll come back to here. We've got the beacon to help us a little bit, and um, I kind of have a pretty good bearing on where we are in the midst of the biome itself. We're kind of towards this is south, and we're kind of towards the southern edge. We're going to um, kind of, possibly, depending on how much we run into and how full we get when we wear down our shovel, all that good stuff, where we could follow the kind of short end of the biome island back around to our base out here. Without too terribly much time. That was kind of the last little bit of our journey when we had wandered all the way around it to see what was here. So, very possible. But if we find anything of significance, it's probably going to use up our remaining shovel. Guess we'll get this since we're down here. No sand left beyond, except for all that sand down there. It's just too far. It's a sand too far. Yeah, So here we are back on this side. Let's run around here, gather up what has already dropped before we start losing anything to despawning. Always a concern with your sand when you just get going crazy. You don't want to go so far that the blocks are actually despawning before you get a chance to go back and pick them up. More so in the regular desert than the red sand areas. They're just a little more concentrated. At least for me, I tend to remember those pretty well. So now we're kind of getting settled in again. Welcome to everybody tuning in. I hope you're having a wonderful day. This is the second play session I'm recording on Monday, the 21st of June. And at the end of the last episode, we kind of been revisiting TV stuff. At the end of the stream yesterday, I was watching the end of the U.S. Open golf tournament, which was being played that afternoon on broadcast TV here. And I was saying, I really haven't watched much regular TV. And I don't pretty much since spring really came on in full force. I've certainly watched some online content. I'm fairly regularly on that. And check news through the web and all that kind of stuff. I don't end up tuning into TV that often. I have very limited cable, so I don't have a lot of sports. And that would be my main televised draw to turn on the TV these days. And, I get my weather and my news and all that online. Most of my entertainment comes either from streaming or individual, independently created content, whether it's a live stream on Twitch or YouTube stuff, music or games or any of that kind of stuff, documentaries, and all those good things. That's really the bulk. But yesterday, I turned on the golf. It was Father's Day, and I've been talking to my dad. He said, "Oh yeah, it's about to come on. We're going to watch it." I was like, "Oh, good tip. I'll watch that too." And rather than just having muted streams going while I was recording, I had some golf being played, and that was great. And I wanted to say I hope I don't mispronounce the name again. I wasn't really listening, but Rahm, R-A-H-M, from Spain was the winner, and he did a couple really cool things. For one thing, he's a new dad, so having won his first major tournament on the U.S. Father's Day. He said, we don't actually celebrate Father's Day in Spain on this day, but I'm gonna make from now on my family's gonna have to. He's kind of joking. He seemed like a really personable guy, and seemed to just absolutely be delighting in the moment, which is so cool when people let their they're just delight it show through, and they're not. I get it changes over time, right? And for some people, your motivation, whatever it may be, is so deep seated that you can't not kind of be moved into that. And these are emotional, powerful things, and we're not often in control of how we respond when we're emotional. We just find streams are a great example. Sometimes when you're tired or something, your mind just runs, and like, what am I talking about? What's going on? I think the same is true when people find that they win something. Their emotions just kind of wash over, and it's like, oh wow, what just happened? Well, he was certainly fun to watch winning. It had this little tiny baby guy. His wife came out, and it was funny. I don't know if it was here. I think I was talking to a friend after I'd wrapped up the stream, but the tournament's coming down to the end, and he's finished, and said that he'd finished parring or birdieing the last two holes, so a stroke under par on each of the last two holes of the U.S. Open, and that usually that isn't isn't the case. Usually the leader is far enough in advance that they play fairly conservative, right? And for one time, oh, that's a really advisable course. I always say in football, hockey, some of those kind of things, the surest way to lose is to play not to lose. You have to be moving forward, trying to win, score more goals, keep doing what you did to get there to have success. But in golf, in a major type tournament, if you do have a lead, you have to be careful being too aggressive. That's how golf courses are designed to be challenging. It's a little like Minecraft, right? You can live a long time in a hardcore world by staying inside a dirt box and only going out to get food every once in a while and just staying alive. There's nothing wrong with that. You can create videos where you're like, I have survived 8 years in hardcore Minecraft by whatever measure you want to count it, and you won't be lying, but you just sat in a box the whole time. Not real fun. And while you may lose your world, and the game is going to challenge you and try to do just that by saying, oh yeah, go fight the dragon. If you do that, you're going to get access to the end, and you can get wings and shulker boxes and all these goodies. But the game just may take your world from you as a result of going after the dragon, right? Same thing is true in golf. If you're going for that birdie, you may have to aggressively try to put your shot over some water onto a green or something like that. And if you've got a lead for a life-changing win, which major tournaments for golfers are, that sets you up. That puts you in an elite category, no questions asked, right there. And you can, it's probably not quite the same. And golf has a Hall of Fame. You don't automatically end up in the Hall of Fame of golf if you just win a major tournament, but you certainly, are at a higher tier of paycheck for that. Sponsorships and all those things open up, and you get a bunch of exemption kind of stuff going forward for the tournament that you won, and probably some others where you don't have to worry about qualifying for those things. You're just automatically in for like 10 years. So that's a huge deal when you're a professional. For those of you guys that are kind of in the, oh yeah, Twitch, and I have subs and all that, and I'm trying to make that be my deal. You guys know, think about having an assurance that you'll have X number of subs for the next 2 years, even. You're gonna be guaranteed let's call it like 400 subs. It's not by itself, it's not going to just change everything, but it goes a long way to security. You're still going to be pushing, right? They still want to push. They want to win that next tournament and get more, but it really helps to know, yeah, I don't have to look at doing something else now. I can just keep doing this for a long time. So really cool to see him excited about it. He was saying things that really resonated with me about the pandemic in Spain, and having lost some friends and all that, and reminding people, hey, this isn't over. We still need to beat this. So do what you need to do to keep safe. And apparently I don't know what it was, but when I did hear comments when he was kind of getting this trophy, they said, how did you respond to the whatever, a week ago drama or whatever? And I assume, without knowing any details, it was something, a corona scare or a false positive or something, but pulled him out of a tournament. And he was so incredibly gracious, where he could have said, oh, it was awful. He said, look, at one point he said, I believe in karma, and I think, I chose to look at that as, I'm on the brink of good things. This is a sign of what's coming forward, not a, reason to get upset and get poopy pants and start yelling at anybody who will listen that I got robbed. And I thought, wow, what a great first response, as you're coming out of having won a tournament, and the reporter, whoever the broadcast guy, the first hey, congratulations, you did really great. The storyline apparently was he had come back from whatever this adversity was. And so that was really cool to hear that. And then just being delighted his parents were there with him, and everything positive is what he was focusing on. Didn't have any of the, this was entitled or any of that kind of stuff, which I found really refreshing. And, didn't it talked a lot about how hard he'd worked to get there and all that, but not with that, like, I was entitled, I was due this or any of that kind of attitude, which, and I'm not saying golfers or anybody in specific, but a lot of times you kind of get that, the elite athletes very often are very focused and goal driven, and so for them it is a culmination. They're like, yeah, I've finally done this, and it is a validation of all your dreams. But to be gracious and all that, it was refreshing, and just not like, oh yeah, I really want to credit everybody else or anything like that. He didn't even bother. He was just delighted. You could tell, happy for himself and his family, and thrilled for everybody that had supported him along the way, that they had won. So it was a really cool sight, and I enjoyed that. So that was a highlight. Then immediately after that, and I hadn't even known, I kind of meant to change the channel because it was like, coming up next, U.S. Olympic swimming, U.S. Olympic trials swimming. And I like swimming, I like lakes, I like all kinds of water sports, and learned how to swim at an early age, and all that. But I'm not a huge, even when the actual Olympics come along, swimming is not exactly my jam. It's like, yeah, Michael Phelps was all that, and all the ones who had come before him. I can't even think of all the names. But the U.S. does really well historically in swimming, so it's always kind of a featured big time event. But for me, having run cross country and distance track in high school, and having participated in those sports, I've always kind of been drawn to the distance track events when you can find them, and they don't tend to get a bunch of television. So finding out that the Olympic trials stuff that was going to be on immediately after, and I was catching up with my sister on the phone, and it's kind of like, yeah, I was doing this and that, and she said something like, oh, hey, hang on, I got to tell your niece that hurdles is coming on, because that's what my niece is currently doing in terms of school sports. Not this summer, but she's both of them. My nephew's a little older. He's working on strength and speed training for his distance running cross country stuff coming up. She thinks she's going to do that too, but she really likes the hurdles, or had just done those in tracks. So my sister's like, oh, hey, hurdles qualifying is coming out. You should come watch this. And I was like, oh, you guys have that on too? Like, crazy. Yeah, I'm really excited. Well, I didn't even know it was coming on. Hadn't made any plans to watch. But as soon as I was like, oh, this is real deal. They're in the middle of all this. I didn't even, honestly, I knew the Olympics had gotten pushed back a year. I knew they were the Summer Olympics, but between sometimes the Summer Olympics being off a half year anyway, if they're in the Southern Hemisphere, and all the rest of it, I lose track. I'm like, I don't know. when do they actually hold those? Winter, I try to pay a little closer attention to. Winter Olympics are by far my favorite of the Olympics. But I definitely am prone to catching the Olympic fever here and there. I don't like the coverage. I don't like how de-emphasized the sports are in them, because they're some of my favorite sports. In the winter, hockey, of course, I love as a spectator, and that, they're games, right? So we're going to cover a hockey game. that's kind of tough to screw up. But I also Nordic skied. Nordic is the cross country ski side for those of you guys that aren't as familiar. Nordic is cross country going across, an alpine, think mountains, is the downhill variety. So I recreationally have alpine skied all my life and Nordic skied in high school competitively. So I love all forms of skiing. Not a huge figure skating fan, but hey, it's again, it's something. And if we have a top contender, it's fun to go see the finals. Um, so all that kind of stuff is cool too. But yeah, really between hockey and skiing, that's the tops of Olympics, and they get so the coverage gets so broken up. You're trying to watch an event that's only on TV, every once in a while at the best of times. They finally get some coverage, and then like every two, if it's a heats in track and field or alpine skiing, every few runs, they completely go away from the coverage to fill you in on some stupid personal interest story that, okay, yeah, it's heartwarming and all that, and I get they're trying to reach the appeal, but like, do those before and after your blocks of coverage. You're like talking about how you want to credit these athletes and share their stories, but I am pretty confident that the athletes, even though they probably have, they want you to know about how hard they've trained and all that kind of stuff, and would be happy to share those stories. I'm sure they would be a lot happier to actually show their athletic events that they've worked a lifetime for to qualify on, instead of cutting away from the coverage. And so that always is frustrating. I mean, by the time the Olympics get over, I'm usually pretty fed up. I'm like, oh man, I just wanted to see that. And when I was a kid, and kind of kid stuff and all that, but back then, at least for I don't know, maybe it was like Albertville or Seoul. I remember as the Summer Olympics that were pretty well done, and I want to say it was like either Albertville or Calgary or one of those Winter Olympics where whoever had the Olympic coverage package at that point did a really good job. They like had a spin-off channel that was like, this is the no nonsense results and event coverage. And maybe maybe I'm just doing a disservice. Maybe all that's so accessible now online that it really is. Go find that if you want it, and leave the broadcast stuff to the casual fans that just want to hear the stories. I don't know, but that's my little beef. So anyway, track and field U.S. Olympic trials were on last evening, and I got so sucked in. I was just amazed. For one thing, as I've said a few times, oh no. Gotta watch out for that. Don't make cut red sandstone. Make red sandstone. So we wasted. We don't really waste them. We can use them at some point, but yeah, now we got a whole stack that's going to be in the way and out of cycle. Red sand. No. What is... How many of those did I make before? Oh, so stupid. That's too many. Now we've done it. I guess we'll have decorative stuff. That's sandstone. Sandstone. Oh, that's what happens when you start telling stories. Anyway, U.S. Olympic trials were going. I've said before I was, am an alumnus of the University of Colorado, and while I was never collegiate level talent for running or any of my sports, having my background, I've always kind of been proud that CU has done really well in Olympic sports, particularly cross-country running and Nordic skiing. Number of Olympia and alpine skiing too, frankly. I don't want to discredit those guys. So we've had a number of Olympians come through the ranks and have definitely dominated. So having not really known this, I got to see a ton of Colorado alumni and a couple of active students competing in the trials. And I don't think that there were any actual finals that those women were in. A lot of qualifying first race stuff, but it's still just cool to get to see them on TV. And shout out to not that any of these people will know or hear or I have any connection to them, but definitely shout out to future Olympian Joel Klecker, who 2 days ago now, earlier in the event, had qualified for the 10K men's race, and Emma Coburn, who had been, at least at one point, she had a world record in the women's steeplechase, and she had the fastest time in the prelim races in the women's steeplechase last evening. And another number of other buffs competed well, but didn't measure up. One other former buff had reached the final of the steeplechase race, which is in a few days. I don't know exactly the schedule, but now I don't know what any more coverage will be or anything. But now, having discovered that, I spent a bunch of time online, like, oh, what's the schedule of events? Who's in there? Go to the university athletics thing where they're like, oh yeah, join us in cheering on these 14 alumni or active buff athletes that are competing to join the Olympic teams in their various events. So very, very cool. It's just an exciting time, and it's always more fun to have a personal connection, even though I don't have personal connections to any of those people. It's fun to have that university association and know that they market and build that fan alliance. All the sports gear and everything that everybody wears and buys and has, that it basically is just there to be born on game day, and always makes it fun when you're traveling or something, and you maybe you're in a different country or different part of the world, and you see somebody wearing something that's like, hey, you're buff too, man. You go up and all of a sudden you're in a conversation. That's the cool part of that. I've said before though, it can kind of be a reverse, and we wrapped up the last episode going a little bit deep because the splash screen on Minecraft was be anti-racist, and kind of went a little bit tangent there, but the same thing can happen with sports fans. People can take it too far and lose context, and suddenly they're disparaging people in a different state or within their own state just because of an association to a school. And, you fuel that with a little bit of booze and a little bit of emotion, and all of a sudden, there's fights breaking out and all kinds of, it's kind of like internet trolling. People just lose you would never do that. If you were in the workplace or something like that, and these are just normal people, you would never just out and out, oh yeah, I hate you, you look funny, what you want to fight, that kind of stuff. But, and I always think, this always seems to run deep in the southeastern United States, where football is just tantamount to religion. But there were the trees at Coomer's Corner in Auburn. This little town. Correct my geography here, folks, but I believe Auburn is just across the Georgia-Alabama border on the Alabama side. And the University of Georgia is close by. The University of Alabama is key there. So you've got three long-standing competitive top elite universities, and the fans there are just just rabid. And I used to have a bunch of coworkers that were all located down around that area, and that's why I kind of got more aware of some of these passions, because there were people with all the various backgrounds. And, we all supported one another. It was a great team, but there were times when people get emotional and have to go like, you guys need to just take a breath, right? We're all on the same team here. Let's remember that, because there's people have different thresholds for how much they want to endure when there's joshing or any of that kind of stuff going on, and that was. That was something we had to watch for. But yeah, so sadly, a few years back, some overly passionate fan who was anti-Auburn, I don't know if it was Alabama or what other school, but this person was like, "Oh, those guys are jerks. They deserved it." And they had these kind of a town square in the little downtown area, the small town, where their fans would gather and celebrate victories. And their tradition was that they would teepee, which for folks who aren't familiar, it may not in the U.S., maybe it's not a thing. Here, typically like high school kids will do it, and it's a pretty common practice because it's kind of relatively harmless fun. But the idea is you take rolls of toilet paper and you throw them up over large trees. And having been a juvenile myself back in the day, I participated in a few late night TPing raids. Usually it happens right around the time that somebody has access to drive, gets their driver's license, has a car, all that kind of stuff, and then while you're on your way back from somewhere or something and still have some deniability from the parents and all that, you can stop by a store, grab a big bulk pack of toilet paper, and swing by a girl you like's house or something, and then the rolls of toilet paper are flying through the air as you try to stay really quiet so nobody inside knows. And when they wake up and walk outside, their whole yard, all the trees in their yard are dangling these streamers of toilet paper. And it's fairly harmless. If you really want to make it messy, then get out the hoses and water down the toilet paper, and it all hangs in these clumps. But if it stays dry and the wind blows it, it kind of cleans itself up. And if you get caught, then they make you break off all the toilet paper and clean up the mess. But again, pretty harmless fun. And so the tradition of these football fans was that every time their team won, they would go to this little town square right in the, kind of the middle of the restaurants and the bars and all that kind of stuff. And the students would go and throw, hundreds of rolls of toilet paper over these several 100-year-old trees all in this square. And yeah, whether that's your tradition or not, it wasn't mine. I didn't have any particular attachment to it, but it's still kind of cool. A cool thing, harmless, fun way for the fans to come together, and they're not doing anything really destructive. It all gets it's all expected, and when it's expected, it's easy enough to clean up. So no problem there, and they were doing it. Well, some passionate fan of another school decided that there was enough of that. He couldn't stand it, and they shouldn't be allowed to have that kind of fun anymore. And he went out and poisoned these hundreds of year old old oak trees or something like that. I don't know what they are, but they're these old, big, mature trees, and it's something you can't just replace, right? And this guy, because his emotions got the better of him, was like, well, yeah, I'm gonna go kill things that are hundreds of years old, and more to a community than just tied to the football. They were nice, beautiful little square, and something that I assume they replanted the trees, but it will be several lifetimes before they get to that point. And that's tragic. That's what I always think about when I think fans getting out of control. Yeah, you can hear some ugly things, or people can get carried away and say stuff in front of kids that they shouldn't have to listen to, and and not even to some extent, I think heckling of players kind of comes with the territory. If you're a player that's worried too much about the heckling, your mind's not in the right place to be successful in your sport. So don't worry about it, and it won't be a deal. But I get it goes too far sometimes. And oh, hey creeper, should we try again? We got a skeleton here. Will he come up too, or is it just the creeper? Will any of this drop? Come on, Skelly. Okay, here we go. You got an enchanted bow. You're on fire. And now you can't see me. Around we go again. Oh, he's on fire too. I didn't even realize that. Oh, that's unfortunate. It's going to end our game here pretty quick. Sorry, pal. So anyway, I totally lost my my train of thought on the Olympic trials. So yeah, big fan of the sports. I like the connection, and was delighted to see some of the buffs having success. And those were the two names I mentioned were people that were expected to make the team. There were no shocks there. They're kind of at the near the tops of their sports, as I said. Emma Coburn has been a world record holder in her event. I don't know if that's current or not, but she's certainly got the historical background to show that you're up there. She'll be one or two, and then there's another very likely person at three will qualify for the event. So those are unless disaster happens, those are kind of foregone conclusions. But they still, like anything else, they still have to run the race, and that's part of running. That's a real beauty. And watching some of the other qualifiers that I didn't, I don't know any of the people because my school wasn't a real, it's in the mountains, right? So it's very good for endurance training. Sprinters and some of those people tend to go to schools more on the East Coast. They can accelerate and excel in those areas. So you kind of focus on where your area's natural natural chances of success lie or advantages lie. So I don't, having been a distance runner, I never have really as closely watched the, like the hundreds and the hurdles and some of those kind of things. But I enjoyed watching them. And there was one race where it was towards the end. I don't know if it was it the women's 100? Just the flat 100? I think it might have been. But it was like two moms. One was the woman who had been like a 5-time Olympian, whatever. Can she make it to her last one? She did. And then there's another mother with another young kid. If I'm confusing races or anything, anybody saw that, I apologize. But yeah, these two young moms, and they're so excited. They both bring their kids down, and they got one has a little daughter, one has a little boy, and they're like bringing them together. Like, aren't you guys happy? Oh yeah, you guys should give each other a big hug. And the kids are, just both like bug-eyed at the TV, like cameras, like what's going on? I would say I want my mommy, but my mommy's right here, and this is happening anyway. So that was worth the price of admission anyway. It was just unprecedented cuteness stuff. But then there was this third woman who qualified, and she was, I almost said girl, and that's unfair, but I think she's a freshman in college or fairly young, and the other two are kind of this long emotional journey to get there, and she's just like, I can't believe it, I'm so excited, you guys don't even know what, and it was just like, again, the difference in perspective, that she hadn't had the weight of expectations on her, and I don't know if she was favor, or how they done the projections or anything like that, whether she was expected to be a member of the Olympic team or not, but she was so delighted to be there. They were kind of saying like, "Oh, she will. This may be the first of many. Barring injury, nobody knows the future and all that kind of stuff. But this may be maybe a first time on the team for her. But and yeah, just the pure joy of having accomplished that was really cool to see. Anytime you see people accelerate in their discipline, and then the emotion that comes with it, I find that just so compelling. It was really cool to see, and I don't need a 20-minute expose on the backstory. I understood that one of these women who had the young children had been difficult. Both mother and daughter had gone through very, very questionable battles in the ICU following that. So that's enough. I heard it. I don't need every little detail. I can empathize. I'm human. I know I have experienced loss in my life, and I wouldn't wish that on anybody. And I'm so happy that they're both doing well now. But I don't. When they're racing, I want to see how athletically gifted they are and how disciplined they've been to win out. I don't need the full story. Put that kind of in a side program. Again, it was. It was really cool to see, and congratulations to all those athletes. I know that's going on all around the world, and that's another cool thing. All these people who have trained, you say 4 years, but that's the cycle. A lot of these have trained all their, young adult and then adult lives just to get to the point where they can compete for these precious spots on their various teams. And it was very cool to see them competing at the almost highest level, and that's for so many. That's the real victory. They get to become Olympians, and you may know going in that you don't realistically have a chance at getting a medal, right? If there's so many teams, you have a qualifying pace or whatever, you kind of think the heartwarming Jamaican bobsled movie, right? These guys were never expected to even have a chance, and it ended up becoming kind of elite after the initial struggles the first time. They really didn't know what they were doing, but just getting to be Olympians and call yourself that when it was looking like you would never get that goal achieved is really cool. So congratulations to all the athletes, whether they're my fellow alumni from my school or not. It's so cool to see people winning and accelerating out there. So that was very cool. I got to watch all that, and then as I was going to bed, I watched on Netflix something popped, and it was like I still don't even know what I'm watching. But I think it's pretty good. It's Icelandic. It's called Kalta, I think, or Klata. I think it's Kalta, maybe. And it's about this volcano that's erupting, right? Iceland knows a little something about those. And weird, like the whole teaser is like, and then weird stuff starts happening. I was like, well, what's the weird stuff? And I was like, oh, this person comes walking up out from under a glacier beside the volcano. She's all like covered, otherwise naked, but all covered in muddy lava ash stuff, and isn't even aware that as it comes to light, she's been maybe missing or something, or dead, or I don't know exactly what all's going on. And that's what's cool, right? So many of the things we get introduced to for streaming or movies or TV shows or anything are just rehashes of familiar stuff. That's why I love um, international features like um, that just give a different cultural take, different storylines that we're not as familiar with here in the United States, at least. Where we know we export a lot of media and culture and stuff to the world, so it's fun to get to see other people's takes. And yeah, whatever this is, I love that I'm like 3 episodes in, I think, and I still don't they're intentionally not really letting you know what's going on. Like it kind of feels zombie. It kind of feels X-Files. It kind of feels um no, I don't think any of it really feels horror, but definitely suspenseful. And you keep wondering, like, there's a lot of intertwined stories and stuff because it's this little village in Iceland, right, where most people have already evacuated because of the volcano, and the few people that are left are just getting tangled by these weird appearances. And I don't want to ruin it, but if you ever enjoy something that's either dubbed or subtitled and can hang with international stuff, and it looks like plenty of people can, because I think it's number 10 on Netflix, or was when it popped as a recommendation for me. Um, Strong recommend, at least on the first couple episodes. Hope it continues to hold up like that. But we shall see. So a couple more bits of sandstone here. Those are already sandstone. Might as well. I mean, it doesn't make a huge difference. All right, we got 3 blue boxes. We want to make sure now we don't lose anything. Do I want you? I think I'd rather have it here for the time being, and I don't know that I ever noted the coordinates, so bear with me here just a second as we do this. Boop. Oh, I don't have don't I have a Badlands base? Base camp, Moose Room, those are too old. Badlands base. Badlands beacon for terracotta. Sorry again, I'm not putting this up. Once upon a time, I obscured an entire stream with a notepad with a bunch of coordinates on it. So I don't trust myself anymore to do that. So you guys just have to chill and look at the screen for a second. Enjoy all the debug stats. I know those are sometimes appealing. So -10, 437 by -5878. All right. Looks like I typed that correctly. Boom. Always worth double checking. You don't want to lose a beacon. Okay. Now we can gather up our various boxes. Let's see if they all just fit, hopefully. Yeah, we could use up this pick, but our green boxes were mostly full, so we're not going to do that. Nope, that's not what I want to do. I want to do this. 48 minutes, we got 10. Yeah, that's a good trade-off. Let's get rid of that. I'll see the haste while I still got it. But speaking of haste, we want to make some if we're gonna. make it back by the end of this episode. Oh, that was dumb. That was kind of dumb too. I thought those were the terracottas. Plop. Leave that. Anything else trash here? I might as well leave those here. Okay, good enough, right? Whew, almost clipped that. I think we're going the right way, right? East. Yeah, there we go. So this is going to drop us right down into our base. I don't know how that will exactly look, but we're not going to waste time with it. If I get a nice aerial shot of the Badlands base for our thumbnail, we'll use it. If it wasn't, well, we'll figure something else out. I really got a kick out of that sand drop picture. I hope you guys enjoyed that for the thumbnail for the previous video. Maybe a little bit of clickbait. We'll see. See if we can get some new eyes to join us here as a result. But, you know, we did catch a couple skeletons in it. It may not have been quite so epic, but for a non-setup, natural sand drop, pretty epic. Oh, I'm down. I'll defend anybody that wants to come in here and tell me it wasn't. You go find a better ravine and drop it and happen to get the screenshot while you're doing it. And we'll talk. Of course, it would be better for me if I was running some kind of video editor that allowed me to just pull those out at any point. But no, I like the challenge and the reward of forgetting to take any screenshots along the way and then being left to grab them as I go. See, maybe we'll get some cool screenshot in here. Ghast or something. Oh, ghast? What? Come here. Be right in my face. Take a couple blasts from you now. If means I can have an awesome big old screenshot or thumbnail. Anyway, not a big deal. Man, oh yeah, so yes, it would be awesome if I had some video editing software. I'd like to get that going. But the priority at the moment is looking at the possibility of trying out some streaming going forward. I think we're getting closer. We should hear something back on the PC sometime this week. And it being one of, I guess now Prime Day is like a 2-day event. Go figure, right? Something around marketing gets blown up and bigger each time. But that's cool. I know a lot of people love to look for the deals. Not my. I'd rather play full price than do anything different. But I did actually seize on Prime Day this year. I wasn't looking at all, and I hadn't I'd seen the teasers, everything popping up, Prime Day, because I watch a lot of Amazon Prime for one thing. But I had pulled up Twitch this morning and was watching a stream, and people were talking about like, oh, it's Prime Day, and I was like, oh, you know what, I should look, because there's been a particular item that I've been thinking about. Actually, two, but one I think is more important, at least from what I've heard, the limited amount of my own videos and my own voice I've been able to tolerate. I think, aside from when I bump it or incorrectly position it or don't turn it on or don't plug it in, my headset is actually passable for audio. Doesn't seem to need an immediate replacement or upgrade. So, while I'd love to get a boom mic, the thing that I think would be most helpful for me getting started with a low cost barrier to entry kind of deal is one of the, I believe they're called Stream Decks. I really hadn't researched these a whole lot. Wasn't too aware what they were, and thought, oh yeah, this is kind of an add-on. But one of the streams I was watching recently, they were kind of talking about them. And I missed the whole thing. I didn't hear any brand names or anything like that, but they were talking up Stream Decks and how really useful and handy they were. And I was like, well, what's the deal? But for those who don't know, it's basically, think the function keys on your keyboard, but it's a panel that just has, in this case, I got one with 15. So it's got 3 rows of 5 buttons each, and they're all programmable. It's all custom. So it apparently comes with some software, and you guys feel free to tell me in the comments if I've made a huge mistake or anything like that. But I got a Eglato or something like that. It seemed like Ego to me, but an Eglato one with 15 buttons, and from what I understand, and it comes later this week, so we'll see. I've got a few days, but I don't have the PC anyway, so all this will come in time. But my understanding is you can set up, like one of the buttons to toggle the mute on your mic, one to toggle a camera, and those are huge concerns for me. As you guys know, I don't have a good mute button. I have one on the cord on my headset, but it hangs down below the chair and the table where I have my laptop set up. So that's not real usable. And as you guys well know, I never reach it in time to effectively mute out sneezes or coughs or yawns or phone calls or anything else that comes along. It's just frequent mess. So that's something I'd like to improve a little bit. The other something, I should check the time here too. How long did that take us? Oh, we're still 56. That was like 4 minutes between the flight and the run. The other thing is that supposedly, I mean, you can toggle, like I have the slides and things like that, right? That's not as big a deal because right now I don't use those a lot, but you can flash up a, I rarely use the Hambbage will be right back slide, but you can flash that up. If you're streaming particularly, then it's not even a matter of stopping a recording or muting or anything like that. You get a call or something starts going on outside, or there's people yelling outside my open window or something. I can just step away and not have that playing over. Or you have to go to the bathroom, you have to get some water. If you're going for a few hours, all those things come into play. So all very, very valid uses. You can also apparently set up some chat management commands. So, and that's a concern for me because I don't mind talking, but particularly when you're first getting started, you're not going to have mods or anything. So you've got to be responsible for the people in your chat. And if you get spammers or people being insulting, not following the rules, you gotta be able to manage those. So you can at least have some like canned responses and things like that in hotkeys. So rather than having to type, you just boom, hit it, and there you go. So I went ahead and got one of those. It was a very minor deal. It was, I think I saved like $15 on 130. So very low. But I think that will be a big help to me as a novice, and so I went ahead and got that. I am that serious about wanting to make this a real deal. So if you guys do have Twitch or anything like that, look for more updates as they come along. I hope to have more for you shortly, but again, probably I'm thinking, late in the week before I even get an update on the PC I hope to use, and then there'll be all kinds of setup, I would imagine, kind of getting it going. Or at least I may not have a whole lot of advertised streams until I've kind of been able to lurk and just, hey, if you show up by good or ill fortune out of the directory, cool, I'll engage you and hang out. But other than that, we're not advertising until I get my feet wet. So we'll see. Now we have those that are basically a waste. How do I want to do this? That's all I get. This is going to come back to get me. Don't you split on me. Seriously, the torches I need least of all. Keep those in case something goes drastically wrong. Yeah, I'm in the base. I hope it's not any big deal like that. Okay. Sandstones. Now we have 8 rows. So boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 boom. Hey. Cut. More sandstone and nothing. Okay, well, let's do that. Why would 16 have not gone into 8? Something seems amiss. Whatever. Boom, boom, boom. Boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah, I guess I could have done that across 4, but yeah, we had it set up. Okay. Now, the only thing we gotta clean up here are these. Now I don't have a pick. Really don't want to go outside with my messy little setup here. What else did I have in here? I still have it. Come on. I need that. Oh, wait, what? Oh, that's the fortune cookie. Could use a fortune cookie, but I don't think we have much to really break. We'll probably have to go over to the spawner for our XP at the moment, which is okay. We need the gunpowder too. We're gonna need more ancient debris, make more shovels and axes, picks. Always dawn or dusk. Don't remember what. Red sand. Smooth. Sandstone. Oh, look at all that smooth red. We are doing well. Okay, let's not forget that that's there. Hey, S'more. See ya. Enderman. All right. So now all we have to do in the next episode is carve out a storage area for terracotta. And I don't think it has to be as huge, but I think we'll definitely go off that setup. And to do so, I think we'll probably do another two uh, mined areas over this way and then push them down. So we'll open up this room a whole lot more. Um, and then, as we said, try to expand out our or improve, I guess, our basement. Pick some themes and start setting that up. Maybe get some carpet down on the floor, but get all this nasty, inconsistent stuff out of the way. And please do something about this staircase so we don't have these just random jagged stuff, spots of cobblestone in the middle of it. We're fixing it all. So all to come. We're a little over an hour now, I'm sure, but we got a good start. We got our sandstone cooking, which we need. We'll have to still do a trip over to the. Oh, I didn't do that. Oh, I did do that. Awesome. Um, Over to the darkroom spawner too to repair everything, get reset, and then probably come back, do the base, clean up, and I'm looking for dirt. And go from there. So, emergency apple out of the way. Food, tools. We got all the tools to go back to the darkroom spawner. These are all going to sit ready to go. We'll move them in a bit here. Once we have all that expanded, then we can do a little gallery for the terracotta as well, so you guys can see what some of the options are, and we can start thinking about how we want to accent out our base build area. But for now, it's gonna do us. I think we're at 106, so good length. Wow, a little hiccup now. That's numbering. Cool. Yes, we're out. We're going back. As after I've talked about this whole deck thing that's coming, I'm like, where are my stuffs? There we go. Guys, thank you so much. If you've enjoyed these videos, I want to encourage you, be like the cool kids. Drop a comment, hit the like button for me. Let me know that you're enjoying it, so I can keep making these and direct them. If you have recommendations, if there's things that you particularly enjoy, let me know in the comments. Maya found with the recommendation of, or the shout out for the skeleton album fight. I wouldn't have necessarily just tried again a couple times to get that to happen, but knowing that it was kind of appreciated content, we'll periodically give that a try. We still need a few more discs. I don't recall exactly how many there are, maybe 8 or 9. But yeah, we'll try to add to the collection here and there. I know there's one that's like broken, 11 maybe. That's like a broken disc. We still haven't seen that one yet. So there's at least one more to get, if not probably a few more than that. So we'll keep playing that game periodically and doing other fun stuff too. But again, subscribe if you want to be notified or have it handily pop up in YouTube when I do post new videos. Trying to keep a fairly regular schedule here and get some more content coming along the way. But I'm going to wish you guys well. Hope you have a wonderful break, rest of your day, whatever it may be. I think I'm going to step away at least for a while. Maybe I'll be back in the evening. You never know, but won't count on it. And we'll encourage you guys, if you're watching these in order or have a whole bunch of more videos, gameplay to get caught up on your own, do take those breaks. It's kind of a meme, but it really does make all the difference to give your eyes and your brain a little break from staring at the screen. You don't think about it, but you stop blinking as much, your eyes dry out, they get tired, the muscles that are your eyes get fatigued, and you need to let them recover. So all that kind of stuff will make you feel better off down the road. So just like taking care of your body, you need to take care of those important organs as well. And speaking of your body, It likes to move around, so give it a shot too. Other than that, help yourselves and one another. Take care of people out there and stay the awesome, wonderful Guava Jelly Gang members that you are. Yeah, you may not know it, but you've been inducted. So congratulations, welcome. There'll be prizes handed out at some point. No, I don't have any of those. There's no guava jelly to be shipped or anything like that. But consider yourselves members in good standing. And we'll catch you next time. I hope to see you then. Until then, stay awesome. Bye.